Why does the evolution of life seem perpetually linked to catastrophic climate events? If the million-year-long reign we discussed previously was shocking, the next story will completely redefine your understanding of our planet. Imagine the Earth not as a water world, not as a fire world, but as one enormous, pure white snowball. This is not science fiction. This is a scientific consensus that Earth has experienced this extreme event 2 or even 3 times in its history. It's called Snowball Earth. The most famous and complete episode occurred over 700 million years ago, lasting millions of years, locking the entire planet, from the poles right down to the equator, in a shell of ice. How could Earth turn itself into a cold, white monolith for millions of years? And how did life manage to survive this absolute zero torture? Even more astonishing, this megaglaciation is believed to be the crucial trigger that led to the subsequent Cambrian explosion, the greatest diversification of life in history. Today, we journey back 700 million years to uncover the greatest and most terrifying climatic upheaval in Earth's story. To understand Snowball Earth, we must first return to the Neo-Proterozoic era, around 700 million years ago. Life forms were far simpler then, mostly single-celled organisms and basic algae in the oceans. But on land, a massive geological change was underway. All of Earth's landmasses had once again clustered together, forming the supercontinent known as Rodinia. This supercontinent was uniquely situated near the equator, which triggered a fatal chain reaction, silicate weathering. Imagine vast amounts of rock exposed to the hot, humid equatorial climate. These rocks chemically react with carbon dioxide dissolved in rainwater. The faster the rock breaks down, the more $text CO_$2 is drawn out of the atmosphere. The breakup of the Rodinia supercontinent generated massive amounts of rock fragments, drastically accelerating this weathering process. Earth's natural carbon dioxide vacuum cleaner was instantly set to max power. Atmospheric $text CO_$2 concentration began to plummet. $text CO_$2 is Earth's primary greenhouse gas, the crucial insulating blanket that maintains our temperature. As this blanket was rapidly pulled away, global temperatures began to crash. Initially, only the poles froze, but soon, the ice sheets crossed the 40-degree latitude lines and began creeping into the temperate zones. Once the ice sheets started advancing toward the equator, the disaster entered an irreversible positive feedback loop, known scientifically as the ice albedo effect. The principle is simple. Dark ocean water absorbs about 90% of the sun's heat. But white ice and snow reflect about 90% of sunlight back into space. The greater the area covered by ice, the more sunlight is reflected. The less heat Earth absorbs, the faster the temperature drops. It became a terrifying cycle. Colder temperatures lead to more ice leads to stronger reflection leads to even colder temperatures. Once this loop began, Earth's own climate system lost all brakes, and the ice sheet surged relentlessly towards the equator. Eventually, the Earth was completely encased in ice. Models suggest the ice reached a thickness of 1 to 2 kilometers, heavy enough to support a skyscraper. The planet's average temperature plummeted to a staggering $50°/circ/text C $ or colder. Earth entered the long, hard snowball phase. Everything on the surface was locked down. The oceans and atmosphere were almost completely separated. The global hydrological cycle stopped. Rainfall stopped. Weathering stopped. This lasted for millions of years, representing the most complete cosmic purge for the fragile life of that era. So, how did life survive this absolute glaciation? The answer lies in 2 critical refugia, or sanctuaries. The first sanctuary, liquid water. Despite the frozen surface, near the equator, there might have been weak points in the ice, forming seasonal melt ponds. These melt ponds provided crucial light for photosynthesis, allowing some blue-green bacteria and algae to cling to survival just beneath the ice. The second sanctuary, deep-sea hydrothermal vents. These were untouchable sources of internal Earth energy. In the deep ocean floor, geothermal energy continuously erupted, providing stable habitats for chemosynthetic bacteria that did not require sunlight. It was these primitive life forms that bore the responsibility of continuing life on Earth. But the most dramatic part of the Snowball Earth story is how it ended. Because the surface was completely covered by ice, all the $text CO_$2 vacuum cleaners, the weathering process, ceased functioning. However, Earth's internal activity, volcanic eruptions, never stopped. For millions of years, volcanoes relentlessly pumped vast amounts of carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and water vapor into the atmosphere. Over time, atmospheric $text CO_$2 concentration reached hundreds of times today's level, finally crossing the threshold of the ice albedo effect. Earth's insulating blanket was finally thick enough to counteract the reflected sunlight. The ice began to melt, and once melting started, this process, too, entered a positive feedback loop. The end of the glaciation was not a gentle thaw, but the Earth entering hothouse mode, an extreme, high-temperature greenhouse Earth. As the ice and snow melted rapidly, it exposed rocks frozen for millions of years, releasing methane hydrates trapped within the ice. Methane, a greenhouse gas dozens of times more potent than $text CO_$2, accelerated the warming. Global temperatures quickly soared to $50°C/text C $, or even higher. The immense temperature gradient led to unprecedented supermonsoons and acid rain. Volcanic sulfur dioxide and hydrochloric acid dissolved in the melted water, forming potent acid rain. These rains scoured the surface, stripping immense amounts of nutrients from the rocks and washing them into the oceans. This massive shift from deep freeze to extreme heat was the final, cruel purge of life. Simple life forms that had not evolved the ability to adapt to extreme environmental swings were completely wiped out. Yet, on the flip side of destruction, lay the greatest opportunity in life's history. The melting ice brought three critical gifts. First, oxygen. The glaciation had prevented deep ocean water from exchanging with the atmosphere. Upon melting, the vast amounts of $text CO_$2 and, more importantly, oxygen trapped in the deep waters were released, causing a sharp spike in atmospheric oxygen levels. This paved the way for advanced life forms that rely on oxygen. Second, nutrients. The nutrient surge from acid rain, vast quantities of iron, phosphorus, and calcium, provided an unparalleled fertilizer for biological systems in the ocean. Third, ecological clearance. The extinction event cleared out ecological niches, leaving a massive competitive vacuum for new life forms. It was the combination of these factors that set the stage for Earth's next major high point, the Cambrian explosion. In the relatively short time of less than 100 million years after Snowball Earth thawed, complex multicellular organisms, including the earliest animals, appeared with hard shells and sophisticated organs, diversifying at an unprecedented rate. The Snowball Earth event teaches us a profound lesson. Extreme catastrophe is often the catalyst for evolution. If the breakup of Rodinia hadn't caused the freeze, if the freeze hadn't stopped weathering, if the volcanoes hadn't cracked the ice, and if the thaw hadn't brought the massive surge of oxygen and nutrients, Earth might still only host simple algae today. It was this multi-million-year cycle of freezing and boiling that transformed a simple, passively governed planet into a complex, vibrant world. When we look to the stars and ask when intelligent life might emerge, perhaps the answer lies not in stability, but in an epic catastrophe sufficient to shatter the status quo. It is these seemingly devastating moments that hit the reset button for life, guiding it toward greater complexity. Do you believe humanity's next step in evolution might also require a global freeze to initiate? Share your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next cosmic exploration.